Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Today is Wednesday, September 18, 2024. Our goal here is to review the market generated information in a holistic fashion. We are following the auctions narrative of both ES and NQ. If we have time, we'll theorize and add additional commentary towards the end. We speculated in the market today around the FOMC. Please see the video that we have uploaded for the replay of the DOM. It is from the beginning of the FOMC all the way into the close, the cash close. All right, let's get started. So, what is the goal? What's the narrative that we have? Of course, it's the FOMC, but where we are regarding the price action and what was the goal of price? So, again, it is the highly anticipated FOMC with the anticipated 50 basis points rate cut, which we did get. So we'll look and see how the price traded around 2 p.m. Eastern for a little better insight. But let's make sure that we have the context of where we're coming from because it played a key role in what happened today. So just looking at the daily, again, we have our 2 week balance range, which we looked below and immediately grinded our way back in. So for the session today, we simply looked above and filled. The goal for the buyers were really to ideally keep one time framing and keep the volume above the prior low of Tuesday, which is the 56.77. So buyers did a decent job of that. We'll look in the context of the details of it. And they were able to create a new high above this 2 week balance range. So okay, looks like they were able to get that. Let's see how did the NQ respond. Their goal, same situation. They really wanted to make a new high and really get above these 19,950. It's really the 40s. They did not do that. They fell a little shot, about 30, 40 points, but we'll look at the details more. And ideally, they wanted to protect their prior low as well. So ideally, stay within the balance range, minimal downside for the buyers, and create a new high. That was their goal, and it looks like they did it. We won't get into the details of the fundamentals, but we were primarily looking at the FOMC release. So, of course, we can see how it ended, but let's see what it looks like for the delta. The max we got up to was 15K, and the minimum was 12K. We can see not too much traded from the highs all the way down to the 30s, from 57.60 or high 50s to the 57.30s. Not really too much traded in here. The majority of volume was done below the 57.20s, all the way to the end, with the VPOC being towards the last third. Finished with 9,200. Decent sign of buyers, but we'll look at the intraday for a little more insight. Same candle structure here with the big wick and a small body. I'm not sure exactly what that's called. I mean, I guess that would be just an inverted hammer, I believe. So definitely not the best sign moving forward. But we need more context. But anyways, minimum of 4,200, and buyers never really had control of the delta for this candle here. Same situation. Not much volume traded near the highs. Majority was done towards the around the halfway point. The volume point of control is a little higher than the S&P 500. But all right, so we can see how we did from the delta. The volume is fairly decent. Again, do remember we are in the middle of rollover, so you want to take these stats with a grain of salt. I have not looked to see how much volume was done on the other contract, but we're mainly looking forward with this December, so that way we're staying focused. All right, so we see how we performed on the daily, and again, this inverted hammer. Really strong sign for the Bears. If they're going to continue their intermediate control, this is going to be their time here. They can't allow a drift up, but again, we'll avoid the speculations. Pardon me. So just looking at exactly what we had on the docket, it was primarily the FOMC. Yeah, we had housing starts and building permits. That wasn't too much of a deal, and I don't think I even heard anyone talk about it. The FOMC was the one that was anticipated, and then you can see what we have on the docket tomorrow for 5:30 and 7 a.m. as well. So for the actual earnings today, not really too much. And then looking at the actual sector tracker, you can see we just finished negative 30 basis points, so really not too much. The leader to the downside was technology and utilities. This was just a weak showing just across the board. Pretty much all of them gave up their gains. It's only so much you can look at this from a superficial glance. We only finished less than 0.5%. So at a glance, you would say, oh, that's not too bad. But given the context of everywhere we are, I'm curious if that's going to be the top of the balance where this inverted hammer is. And that's rejecting the middle of the range for the NQ. So just interesting candle structure. But again, it's only so much we can see from the candles and the daily candles. So again, we have our volume point of control for the composite for the market profile sitting at near the 5600s. And the most recent point of control, or just high volume node, this is almost a point of control for this composite, it's at 5700. So really just two big zones that we're looking at between 5600 and 5700. And we're just really just sitting sideways, sticking to these 5700s big time. We had more upside going to the 5760s, and the lowest point that we got to was the slightly under the 5700s, around the 80s, I believe. Yeah, 77. So B-shaped profile overall for today. Our weekly candle is essentially the same thing. We had our double distribution, so we just really revisited the double distribution from yesterday and stopped those people out. Got back above this composite value area high, and then fell, rejected back into the range of the 5700s, which is this high volume node, almost the volume point of control. So really not too much is done, you know what I mean? But again, we'll add a little more notes later on. No singles from what we can see. We do have excess near the highs, which looks like a clean rejection. It's pretty nice. If we merge this together, we're still looking at a double distribution, but just the majority of volume is done around the 5700s, which makes sense because that's our high volume node for our composite here. And then just for the month of September, we're just hugging this top part of this range. So overall, this still looks fairly bullish because all the action is taking at the top part of the September monthly candle. Okay, sorry about that. I had a bit of a technical issue there. So I'm not exactly sure where I stopped, but essentially double distribution. We're just kind of hanging around. Solid day for the buyers overall, just to keep price near these 5700s. Really not too much else to say there. Yeah, we're stuck in balance. Looking at the NQ, same situation here. Majority of this volume is done filling out this low volume node here near these 19,700s. And they had a look above, getting near these 900s, but could not actually pierce the 19,900s and 30s or 40s. Which again, if the NQ can get above that, that'd be a nice destination for buyers because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, now 5 touches, not being able to get above this range. So again, NQ had a great rejection away, and we had these little singles here, but it just couldn't get above it. But completely rejected. I don't believe there was any kind of singles within this B-shaped profile. That's kind of B-shaped. It's more like, I don't know, there's like a multi-distributed or maybe like normal. Not really too for sure. But yeah, not too much to say here. Same situation as the NQ, same situation as the ES. And again, we're just perfectly filling in this low volume node here. So not too much to say. Majority of the volume is taken near this top quarter of the monthly range for the NQ. All right, we'll look at the intraday for a little more nuance. So we'll take a quick look at the 138 minute candle just for us to see what we're looking at. Same situation here for the NQ. This is just the rejection zone that we saw. And again, the highest they got Still have several touches here that they could not break through, and not really too much to the downside. So nice compression with a lot of buy stops that were ran from the potential shorts. Same situation here for the ES. A little more room to the downside that they had, but not too much overall. They really just stopped out that candle there, and completely able to look above their prior 2 week range and eat up some of the candles um, from, I believe, July. Yeah, the all-time highs, which was July. So solid day overall. Just looking at that in candle form, we'll look at the same S&P 500 on the 65 minute. So again, no one really cared because we were just anticipating FOMC. So we'll just take all of this with a grain of salt. We're not looking at it. So really just looking at these two candles here. Again, you can look at our video online. You can see exactly how this was formed. But yeah, they had a lot of delta. The max was 21K. And we finished around the highs basically. A lot of that was really someone at like the 57.30s, like whatever was going on here. There was a real big buyer here, just really just filling in, and we still ended up crashing down back near the 80s, the 56.80s, to test some more of that downside, and we just couldn't get back above and stay near those where all that high delta was. So it really seemed like that was more than like more of like one person opposed to being a whole slew of people. But again, we don't really look that detailed into it. You know, it's just some buy orders. We don't know who they are. So again, that this buy candle just stopped out all the potential shorts, and then we crash back down and end up closing lower. We'll see where we close on the actual 3 minute candles, but you had a lot of strong sell pressure here, so you would assume the people that are buying here, I don't know, could be shorts, new money, longs, who knows, but definitely a lot of these sellers here were some of the buyers that had to liquidate before the day ended for sure. Are those new money shorts? We don't know. Again, remember the NQ had a stronger, a weaker delta as we finished the day being negative 4K, I believe. So again, we're not really paying attention to these sections here, but sellers just really swarming the whole time, pushed it down and just really kept it down. So really not too much to say. Same situation here, except it wasn't as strong as buyers for the NQ. Looking at the actual context of the 3 minute candle just to see how we moved. All right, sorry about that. I had to put the SOC candles on so we can see how we move. So again, not really too much to say here. Just looking at the ES. We chop sideways as we head into the release. Literally sideways, a little bit upward skew. As soon as we opened, which is below the prior eye below, we immediately had a open drive. We had an open drive to the downside. So we are rejecting and moving away from the prior balance, the prior IB low. We're going where exactly? With great haste, we found our way heading to the overnight low and really just hugged that overnight low for an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. Ended up having a leg lower, immediately reclaimed the 5 smoothing average, and then drifted back into balance, testing and breaking through the HOD, the high of day, and the overnight high by just a tick. Let me see if I can put this back on. God dang it. Hold on, bear with me. They messed up my story. But yeah, anyways, they ended up going to the HOD, but just had like a quick little stop out, and we, damn it, and then we ended up returning back into balance. I don't know why this arrow is not staying, but yeah, we ended up breaking the overnight high and then closing at balance, which was still below open, since we had the open drive lower, But just back into the middle of balance where we are. So as we start the actual, let me lock this just in case. So as we start the actual FOMC, again, you can watch this on a video. Quick test down, did not break the IB low. Rocket up through the HOD and strong close above. And then just a very weak drift. Testing through the DGPs back into the IB mid, finding some support. And trying to test through the close again. I did not mark this close, forgive me. Testing this close for the SOC candle, being rejected, testing back all the way down to essentially the IB high, coming back up, being rejected and engulfed again, coming back up, being rejected and engulfed, coming back up, getting rejected and engulfed again, closing below the IB low for the session. So in hindsight, this was a lot slower of a grind with big impulsive moves each time. So in hindsight, this looks a little cleaner. The lower highs and everything, So just something to work on, which is again why we have the video. So I'm definitely gonna go back again and see if I can glean something from there. But overall, really the trade of the day, at least here for the ES. Not really sure. Possibly revisiting this and seeing this close. This was at the 57.37. I just want to see what this 1 minute candle looked like. The 57.37. So here, you shoot up, compress, engulfed. So unless you would have caught this in real time, you would just really have to take a chance. And your stop would be where exactly, if that's the 37s, which is the close of this SOC? Yeah, where would your stop be? That's really the question. Unless you're going to shoot it here, which is going to be about 4 points. That seems a bit arbitrary, but just interesting to see nonetheless. I just want to kind of go through that there for myself. And we won't go into all the details here for the NQ, but same situation. Chop sideways, balance, lower, balance, above, rejected the open, back into the middle of balance. Same situation here for the NQ as far as they had a bit of a higher high here, still lower high overall, but their structure was a little different. I definitely couldn't get a grasp here. NQ was a little weaker, but they had a little more signs of a little more relative strength, just the way they were supporting their lows. They did hit their SOC low before the ES, but really hugged their way back into the middle of balance, trying to hold this open, but they ended up failing. So as they shot up, we had our 4 bars down, they climbed back up, ended up being engulfed. They tried to climb back up, engulfed to a new low. As we made our new SOC low and based here at the lows, shot our way to mid, rejected to the lows. Reversed right back into the open, couldn't hold the open, ended up being engulfed over several candles, closing below the IB low. So again, a bit of a tricky price action. Looking at this in hindsight, I'm definitely going to go back and review. But solid day. So solid day overall for the price action for the bears, for them to be able to keep price lower. We did a 4 different trades, but we did try to do a breakout low here. But again, both of the indices was not having any kind of downside below the IB lows. I mean, below the SOC low at all. No kind of continuation. So that's part of my playbook as well, especially the fact that this was it was vacant below. There was no more price action, so you would imagine just more price discovery a little lower. but it just never happened. Even when the NQ did break their low of the day, there was just no kind of price action. We just immediately got back into here. So a lot of balance action overall, and of course we cannot be surprised that there is such balance action as we're stuck within these high volume nodes that we were discussing a little earlier, and then just this low volume node here. There really just needs to fill out, just having some wide ranges in this area here. So again, solid day overall. How good of a job did the buyers do as they've been in control? I'm not sure here. This was definitely an interesting day. I see that the buyers had some progress, but with no continuation. And these sellers had a great show of defense and being thrown off, but really reversing and finishing strong. Um, so I'm just gonna give it like a draw today, because if we find our way drifting up and near these highs tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised. And if we find our way trading lower with all of this overhead supply, I wouldn't be surprised with that either. So no real winner of the day. We're gonna need more information. This is why it's important for us to manage our risk and be available for the next day. FOMC is not the end all be all. So as we head into tomorrow, it's really important for the bears to keep price lower if they want to have a say so in who's in control. And if not, then I think the buyers still maintain their control. Really, not too much else to say. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll be back tomorrow with our typical morning videos, and we can provide some commentary and dissect what's going on in real time. All right, take care.